is that Tesla is the best EV, and that's not true, right?
Right.
Very much not true. I'll say a couple of things. One is just building back on the electric panel conversation. And again, just building on, I think, what you brought up with the watt diet and whatnot. I think it's 97% of homes, single-family homes in California, not necessarily multifamily, but single-family homes in California have at least 100 amps, 100 amp panels. So that's like the flow of electricity into the home. And the vast majority of homes, study after study, has shown that, because you're never running everything at once, shows that you can electrify on fully electrify on a 100 amp panel. So
Now you're telling me.
what is that? Yeah, it can be done. And so I think one of the I think that gets into a broader myth of it can't be done. Whether that it can't be done is like electrifying your home, or you can afford to buy an electric vehicle, or any myriad of other things. And the it can't be done is very much related to another myth, which is nobody wants it. I've spent a lot of time working on housing, and the most environmentally friendly and in a lot of ways the most affordable homes that we can build are infill homes, so within our existing cities and towns, along transit corridors that require less driving. They're more energy efficient, water efficient. They're fewer vehicle miles traveled, and you'll always hear it's like, well, people don't want to live in these. Why are we building these? People want to have single family homes. When in reality, if you look at really closely at consumer preferences, yeah, a lot of people want to live in single family homes. But if we built every new home in California for the next generation as a multifamily infill home, we would still have enough homes to satisfy the people who really want single-family homes, and we would be creating a diversity of housing choices for people who want something else. And so this idea that, because I don't want that, nobody else wants it, well, we really should be thinking about how do we create more choice for people, which then leads to a more diverse, exciting kind of world we're living in, and one that's better for the planet as well. And that applies to housing, that applies to cars, that applies to all sorts of things. Bicycles and cars sharing roads together. Who would think?
And let me provide a little context. For Santa Clara County, the county needs about 130,000 new homes by 2031, of which 73,000 need to be affordable. So we have a lot of housing to build, and to expand outward and to do more tracts of single-family homes is going to take too long a time, and it's going to be expensive because now we're obligated in the future to upgrade, to build those roads, to upgrade the roads, to maintain the roads, maintain the infrastructure that we built to grow outward, right? Not through infill. Infill means it's already zoned and it's already existingly zoned for housing. So that is the most effective way of being able to meet our county and our city RENA goals, as they call them. So you want to add that? Go for it.
I wanted to bring up another myth that's out there, which is that it came up with the Los Angeles fires, is that we need to be able to build homes faster. That's true. We need to be able to build faster. There's a myth that building codes slow it down and that we have to suspend our building codes. So there is actually a bill right now that's moving through the legislature very quickly because it's being authored by, or co-authored by the Assembly leader. It's AB 306. And it's basically would freeze all of the California building codes for the next 6 years. But in reality, that's 9 years because it takes 3 years to update it. And any city could not update its REACH code because there's this myth that, oh, we have to stop the building codes that require electric buildings and such. And there's a disconnect there. We don't have to give up our clean energy goals. We just have to make sure that we build back safer and we build back more resilient. When we build back with gas pipelines to homes, we're much more at risk of explosions, like what happened in San Bruno. We don't want to have gas pipelines in homes anymore, so when we're building back, we need to keep our codes in place that say that all new buildings will be electric. And it's a myth that CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, is slowing down building, because it's a very important process that makes sure that we're building back smart. We don't want to suspend building codes when, look at earthquakes. If you don't have an earthquake code, the building collapses, people die. So it's not the right thing to put up environmental quality versus building, and we have to find a way that we can build back smarter and more resilient and fast.
If I can add to that, and I think it's 85% agreed and maybe 15% of a slightly different perspective. I think you're spot on to the idea of if we suspend or roll back building codes, if we roll back CEQA, that is a it's trying to get the fly with like a sledgehammer, and it's not necessary, and it's counterproductive in a lot of ways. That said, I think as we think about next iteration of building codes, I'll talk about CEQA in a second, but next iteration of building codes, rather than always thinking about what are we trying to prevent from happening, so building codes all like, the root of that comes from like health and safety, which are good things, but it's like it's always protecting what is the thing that we want to stop, the bad thing we want to stop from happening, fire, whatever. Can we think about what is it that we're trying to create? What is it that we're trying to enable? Are we trying to enable electrification? Are we trying to enable a supply chain that's more localized? So we're using like local wood and local contractors and whatnot in the work, and that leads to a very different set of rules and laws than kind of what we have today or what somebody might want to fully roll it back. Same thing on CEQA. I will actually say I've been working in environmental work in California now for 25 years, and I've been sometimes the one environmentalist that raises my hand. I'm like, I've got some questions about CEQA. CEQA can be something that actually is used often to stop this kind of infill development that we want to see. But the idea that because it does one thing that isn't right, or that we don't want to see, the whole thing needs to be rolled back, is absurd. Really, I think what we want to see is we want to see like the right sizing of laws, the calibration of laws and rules to ensure, again, that we actually get the vision that we want to have, versus just trying to like guard against something or continue to exist in like the 1970s, which is when CEQA was originally put in place.
So we could do a whole panel on CEQA, probably.
Many panels.
Yeah. Hours. So I'm going to move us to rebates and programs. Juliette, you already kind of alluded to some of the programs and rebates that Silicon Valley Clean Energy has. So you go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so we actually recently started kind of marketing our programs in a way as kind of an umbrella of home upgrades that you can go through SVCE for. And there are 3 different pathways for people because, again, just trying to figure out the best way to electrify, it's going to be highly personal. So we have our rebates, which you don't need to get an SVCE approved contractor for. You could even DIY your heat pump water heater installation if you're skilled enough to do so. But we have our rebates that you can just apply for the money, provide proof that you did the upgrade and receive a rebate for that. But now we recently launched 2 pathways where you get a little bit more assistance from SVCE. So we have our assisted home upgrades where you can use an online portal to get 3 free contractor quotes and just be guided through the rebate process and see what incentives you qualify for just through our website. And then we now, I think back in November, launched our full service home upgrades where you apply to get home upgrades done and SVCE will take care of the entire process for you. You will have a contractor come out, give a proposal for the work that you'd like to do, what heat pump, water heater, or heat pump HVAC, but whatever kind of upgrade that you're trying to do to get the rebate. You'll get the proposal, some home energy efficiency upgrades as well. So that was recently launched, and it actually has fixed pricing for the different services that we provide. So I don't know them off the top of my head, but you can just look on our website and see the fixed pricing for changing out a gas stove, changing out a water heater, and then several other add-on services and what that would look like. So it's a very transparent pricing, and then you'll still qualify for rebates, federal incentives, and really that's, you know, our focus to try to, you know, just make it as easy as possible for people to be able to do this.
Question. Is there income restrictions for some of these programs? Are they means tested?
Yeah, so they are actually, they're available to all SVCE customers, so there is that restriction, is that you do need to be a customer of SVCE, live in our service area, but we have income qualified add-ons. So for certain incomes, you can get a no-cost full-service home upgrade. So that's something very exciting. And then there are additional, if you go the other route, you want to work with your own contractor, there are income qualified add-ons for rebates.
Okay. Do you have to be a homeowner, or is this available to renters also?
Yeah. That's a good question. So you can do it with the permission of your landlord, but it does make it, you know, what we see is usually homeowners are applying. The renter question is something that SVCE is really gearing towards, you know, trying to work on, because what about renters? It has been a big question. So we have started our multi-family affordable housing retrofit program. So that is available for deed restricted affordable housing properties. For their property owners to apply for direct install retrofits for these kind of upgrades. And we, you know, thinking about this, a lot of residents here are renters. So really trying to figure out what kind of just education and resources can we put out, especially just to encourage people to even improve their energy efficiency and weatherization, because that's a big source of savings, and how renters can still, you know, make a difference in their electricity bill.
So San Jose specifically is the third highest rental market in the United States.
In terms of cost. Yeah.
So it's yeah, a lot of renters. And what about the renters is true for a lot of different issues. Okay, we're going to move on to kind of like new initiatives.
Can I just
Oh, go
add
for
some
it.
rebates for the EVs?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
rebates. Yeah, go
Because
for it.
there's some really great rebates for electric vehicles. So some of them are income qualifying and some aren't, so it depends. But the federal government is still issuing rebates, $7,500. It's probably going to go away soon, so it would be a good time to get an EV now before that goes up. And with tariffs going on, the price of cars is going to go up. So it's a really good time right now to buy a car. So the federal government has that rebate. That's for a new one. And then they also have a little bit less. I think it's $4,000 or $3,500 for a used EV.
$3,750.
Thank you. So experts here on that. And then
It was 4,000 2 years ago. Wait a minute.
yeah. And then
That's what the website
PG&E.
says.
PG&E does have its own rebate for a pre-owned EV, $4,000 toward the cost of that. And there's a program called Clean Cars for All. It's currently oversubscribed,
Yeah.
but I think they're going to try to find more funding for it. But this is a fantastic program. If you have an old car, I believe it's model year 2005 or 6 and older, and you can trade that. You have to be income qualifying for this one, but they've taken away the zip code limitation. So you can trade it in for up to $12,000 toward the cost of an EV. So basically, you can get a free used EV if you have an old gas guzzler, and even if it's not gas guzzling, but an old car, you can trade in. Want to add a clarification?
Yeah, two things. Number one, yeah, it is oversubscribed, but I was talking to the people, you know, who work there. We work with them all the time. And number one, you can get on a wait list, because sometimes applications will fall out. People move out of the area, or they're not actually income qualified, et cetera. So you can get on a wait list, so you can apply for the Clean Cars for All through what used to be Bay Area Air Quality Management District, BACMed.com. Number two, they're hoping to get that refunded by the summer. So 3-4 months, they're hoping to get the program refunded.
So you're going to be tabling afterwards, so more questions bring there. Yeah. And then one more is, I'm excited. I live in San Jose, but San Jose is going to launch its own rebate for EVs. So to be rolled out soon, but I'm very excited about that, because San Jose has such a great reach code too for new apartments and condos. They're going to all have EV charging, and now with this rebate will also help make the cars more
And I'll pull a plug for the e-bike subsidy that the state rolled out finally. We were waiting for years for that. And then I think it was like not even 20 minutes in, it was all gone, everyone. And it was income restricted, really focused on folks that were already enrolled in like SNAP benefits and other types of benefits, right? So low income folks. So love to see more of that. Hopefully the federal government at some point will do something similar.
I neglected to mention, we do have an income qualified EV rebate for $2,000. Income limits are on our website. That's available.
Brilliant. Jeremy,
Yeah.
I'm going to combine two questions. We're almost running out of time. So like when you talk about sustainability, we kind of already tried to hit like different, earlier today we talked about the different trade-offs that we have to take. Let's go back to a little bit to CEQA, just a little bit, just so we can talk about how we can align our city and state policies so that we can promote that sustainability in our growth moving forward. And I guess, what needs to be prioritized to create that sustainable future?
So I guess let's say two things. One is, this is going to be almost like heretical to say this here, but I don't think we should be aiming for sustainability. Sustainability is simply like, stopping bad from continuing. Like, let's get to a state that we're in right now and let's like not get it any worse. I don't think we're in a good state. I would say that we want to be, kind of regenerating our communities, like nurturing our natural systems, and really creating something, better and aspiring for something very different. So that's the first thing I would say. And then I think the second piece of that is it really does require vision. We do general plans and all sorts of plans all the time. And those are great, and they can be used, I think, as mechanisms for putting a vision forward. But I think it's really important to have groups like Catalyze Silicon Valley and Actera and whatnot, and community-based organizations that can actually hold an identity for a place. And I'll mention one that I'm working with right now, San Jose. So in the Mayfair neighborhood of San Jose, organization called Somos Mayfair, and then a broader coalition called the Si Se Puede Coalition in that neighborhood that's really thinking about, well, how do we think about our housing aspirations and making sure that we have housing for the people who are here, and that is affordable. And then our education aspirations and our kind of our jobs and economic aspirations. But also, the thing I've started working with them on is like this idea of a renaturing process for the Mayfair neighborhood. So how do we look at the ecology that used to be here, and start to restore that in a way that is like compatible with human habitation and also like with the changes that come in climate change. And so if you can hold that big long-term vision, then suddenly like your questions that you start asking of like, well, what do we do now that we have this housing project? It's like you can take those various different, kind of aspirations you have and try to make those a manifestation, make the housing project a manifestation of that. And, are there going to be costs? Are there going to be trade-offs? Sure. But, you know what you're building toward versus simply just building a building and putting it down on the corner of two streets.
That was a long-winded question, so I'll say, what do you believe we need to prioritize to create a sustainable future? Is kind of the tag.
And I do appreciate the comprehensive vision you alluded to, that it's not just about stopping bad things, it's about creating a vibrant future. And I think we have to center equity. I think too often climate activists, and I know when I started, my focus was on greenhouse gas reduction. And so our first campaign was up front was to get San Jose Clean Energy established because it was the biggest thing we could do. And as we've gone forward, we've learned more about environmental justice. And so we have to have a society that works for everybody. And really, the fossil fuel industry creating sacrifice zones is similar to our economy where we have sacrifice people. And so we just really have to get to more equity. And San Jose is and this whole area is so expensive. People are really suffering trying to live here. And we can't have it be a trade-off between environmental protection and affordable homes. We have to have both, and we have to bring those together.